Okay, thank you. Let's begin. Before we begin the Senate meeting itself, let's make sure that everyone can hear us. So I'll do a sound check. Downtown, Donna Cataldo. Can you hear
you from downtown.
Thank you. Melanie Pitts and Keith Hollinger, Polytechnic.
I'm filling in for Melanie. This is Keith Hollinger, and we're all here, and we can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Elsie Moore, Tempe.
We can hear you at Tempe.
Alejandra Elenas, West.
We're here at West, and we can hear you very well. Thanks.
Thank you, and you're very clear, too. Okay, so welcome to the first Senate meeting for the 2016-17 academic year. I'm Kathleen Puckett, Chair of the UAC and President of the University Senate. Before we begin, let's go over some housekeeping concerns. As a reminder, if we experience technical issues, there will be a 10-minute recess. If we lose a video-only connection, we will continue. But if we lose audio connection and cannot restore it in 10 minutes, the meeting will be canceled. I'd like to remind the senators and speakers in Tempe that when speaking, to use the microphone so that you could be heard at downtown Polytechnic and West campuses. We would appreciate it if senators at downtown Polytechnic and West would mute their microphones unless speaking to the entire Senate. All persons who are addressing the Senate from the floor should state their name prior to speaking so that it can be duly noted in the minutes. And when we vote, if someone has a problem with a clicker here in Tempe, please stand up and an assistant will come to you. At downtown Polytechnic and West, the UT support should assist you. Finally, if you realize that you made an incorrect choice while voting and the vote is still open, then please vote again. The clickers only record the last vote cast during the open voting period. It's not like voting like used to be in Chicago. We'll now calculate if we have a quorum, which is 50% plus one of all senators. The quorum question is now on the screen. The seating capacity of the newly renovated Sun Devil Stadium, once over 70,000, is now, and you see your choices. Do I need to read them? Is that first one clear? 50,424, 102,455, 56,232, or 93,607. All right, can you show the answers? Are you not showing them? Might be having a problem with the clickers. 53. We have more than that in the House.
This is Chuck at Tempe campuses. Do the clickers seem to be working for all the other campuses? They seem a little low on numbers. Okay, it's up to you. You can call the vote. We have exceeded the quorum calculation, even though the number doesn't show it.
We have exceeded.
Yeah, there's more than 58 here.
Okay, okay. All right. One or two more minutes, or two, little bit more time. Everybody voted. We have two more that came. Okay. I'll tell you the answer in just a minute. Okay.
I actually accidentally opened and closed it, so it's started over.
Okay. So that's the issue. Okay. The answer was, if you'll go back one screen. Okay. The answer is C, 56,232, as quoted in the Arizona Republic on August 24th. And the 102,455 is that of my alma mater, the University of Tennessee. The rest are Pac-12 schools. Okay. Do we need to vote on accepting it, or are we okay?
No, we're good.
We're
Sorry-
good?
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
So, we welcome a number of information reports from the speakers listed on your agenda. Just so you know, the first Senate meeting has more room for informational reports than other meetings, since we do not have committee reports yet for this year. In subsequent meetings, information will be limited to 2 or 3 individuals. Our first speaker is Provost Mark Searle. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope the school year is treating you well so far. I want to begin by also making a mea culpa. At the end of the last year, we had a Senate meeting, and I was asked whether all students were required to have the ASU ID, and I think I said yes. And the answer is I was wrong. And so it turns out if they're students taking I courses who are immersion students, they should have the ASU ID. And when Chuck talks about what we're going to be doing in terms of monitoring exams and so forth, he'll explain a little bit more about that. Students who are online students only have the option of using other forms of picture ID, driver's license, those kinds of things. But Chuck will talk a little bit about that in his presentation. And I think that this will be a big step forward. It's a pilot that we're running this year because we've gone into this area of trying to figure out a best way to monitor students when they're taking online tests and exams. Last year we had a couple of different systems in place, and the issue arose for 2 reasons. One was that this body raised the question about whether or not the security in terms of the picture ID issue. And the students raised the issue before that had us looking into it, because the students were wondering why they were paying an extra cost to take the exam. And I have to be honest, I didn't know they were. And so we looked into it and said that's not right. Students shouldn't be paying extra for what we expect them to do and what we deliver. So students are not going to be charged anymore for taking these exams that are either in I courses or O courses. Rather, that's something we will absorb. And we have a new system that's being deployed to do that. And I think it'll be much more effective, at least we hope so. We'll see how it goes this year, and then we'll learn from that and make modifications accordingly. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I also want to briefly preview something that Deb Clark and Chelsea Terrell are here to talk about, which is that we have, as you will all, those of you who've been here for any length of time may remember when we switched to a biweekly pay system. Some of you who have been here as long as I have remember when we got paid twice a month and we had the mid-month advance, and it was a whole different system. Well, when you go to the biweekly system, you become at the mercy of the calendar, and sooner or later the calendar catches up with you and it kind of screws up the schedule. So they're going to explain how we're accommodating that in the coming year and what needs to be done there. So with that said, I'd rather spend the time so that they can both present briefly to you what we're doing, and I think that'll be of more substantive interest to you. Last point, before I step down, is President is planning to be here at the next Senate meeting. He couldn't be here for this inaugural meeting this year. So, thanks.
So, Deb Clark and Chelsea Tyrell.
Hi. Okay, I'm going to do my best to try to explain something that at times it feels like I only imperfectly understand myself, but Chelsea is here to correct me if I get too screwed up. As Mark said, generally we map the academic year contract onto these 2-week pay periods. For the year 2017-2018, and that year only, it doesn't map on in the way that we would like it, that none of the academic year contract falls under the previous 2 weeks, which is when people have to be in the payroll. So that has kind of screwed us over. And what it means is that in order to be able to maintain that 2-week pay period, and we will be starting the pay, not the contract, but the pay, the first paycheck will come September 1st, I believe, 2 weeks later than it normally would. Now, I should have prefaced this by saying, if you are currently getting your salary distributed over 12 months, in other words, 26 pays, this has no impact on you whatsoever. It is only impacting those who are getting their salaries distributed over 9 months in 20 pays and are not getting summer salary. And there are some options for summer salary as well. So in that case, the first paycheck, which normally comes around mid-August, will not be coming until the beginning of September. And the reason that we wanted to get this word out now is so people can think about ways to accommodate that. It does not mean that you will be getting one paycheck less. You're getting the same salary. It just starts a little later and ends a little later. But we do recognize that some people may be disadvantaged by this, may be stretched a little bit if they're accustomed to getting something in August and it doesn't come till the 1st of September. So we wanted to make sure that people knew about it early so they could make whatever accommodations they might want to make. One such accommodation is you may shift over to the 12-month pay distribution, in which case you won't miss anything. That is, you have to do that by April 30th, I believe, of the spring. The other impact that this schedule will have is on the number of summer pay periods for those people who are paid on summer salary. Usually it's 6 pay periods. It will be 7 pay periods, correct?
We gave them a choice.
We gave them a choice. So you can either choose that over 6 or 7 pay periods. So in other words, you know, we are pushing back slightly the paycheck, the time at which the paycheck starts, which has nothing to do with when your contract starts. It will not impact in the slightest your salary. You'll still get the full salary. It's just that that first paycheck will be a little later than you might otherwise assume it would be. And so to a certain extent, the concern is for those who may be on the lower end of the pay scale who don't get summer salary, who would want to make sure that they have ample opportunity to try to adjust in whatever way is best for them. Is there anything that I skipped on there? I will do my best with questions. Okay. Polly, any questions from Polly?
When is the last paycheck?
May.
May 30th?
No.
Earlier this year, I think. I'm sorry, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I think the last paycheck is mid to the end of May, because we are on a lagging biweekly pay.
But that's for this coming spring, not for the following spring. For spring of 2018, the May paycheck would be a little later, wouldn't it?
It would be in the end of May, yes.
Yeah. Any questions from West?
No, we don't have any questions from West. Thanks.
Okay. Any questions from downtown?
No, we don't appear to have any questions from downtown.
Okay. And how about here at Tempe? Yeah. The question was, will this affect doctoral students on stipends? And the answer is we don't believe so.
Are you talking about a postdoc? Is that what you're referencing? PhD students, like grads? Their pay will be on the academic pay schedule as well. So yes, their paycheck will begin, the beginning of the pay period is August 14th, and again, we're on a lagging biweekly pay, so the first check would be in the beginning of September.
So in other words, I was wrong. Yes, it will impact them as well. Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going, yeah. The question was if grads could stretch the pay as well. I don't know the answer to that, but I can look into that. Yep.
Thank you. Now we have Chuck Kozelik, who will report on regarding online proctoring. This is an issue that was brought up at the April 2016 Senate meeting, and it shows that we've got some answers to the questions you've brought up. Thank you.
We have progress. So let me give you a little lay of the land here. And there we go. So this process started in January to find a solution for online proctoring. And as Provost mentioned, the idea is not to be charging the students. Just to give you an idea, the committee that we put together, we had several people from ASU Online or Ed Plus who have about 80% of all the courses, whether they're directly their O courses or the I courses that are companions. We also had some people from my academic technology group, which is the group that runs Blackboard. And we had a faculty member that was very astute and had been using several of the products we've had on the campus on the committee. We had over 300 specifications that we were looking at for this. And so the award went to the ASU Online Proctoring for, the company's called Software Secure, but the product is RP Now. So let me just talk a little bit about this, and you can see some of the bullets. You know, the keys about being able to authenticate the student is the student that they're supposed to be. Each exam is reviewed. Each exam is recorded. We store those recordings for up to 1 year. You have access to any of those up to 1 year beyond that. It's also on demand. So any of you that were familiar with ProctorU, it was one of the services that we had good luck with. But the problem with it is the students had to schedule 72 hours in advance in order to take advantage of what we paid for, or they got charged an extra fee. If they had to cancel, they got charged an extra fee. So that was important to us to figure out how not only could we pay for the cost, but not make sure there weren't any writer costs that the students got connected to. So let me just go over some of the things that have come up. We've run, 4 workshops for faculty before the semester. We had some really great questions from the faculty. So one of the things that we wanted to deal with was the idea of the lockdown browser. So a lot of people are concerned about this. The browser is completely locked down. As a faculty member, if you do nothing, the student can have absolutely no access to any other sites, any other tools. They monitor for if there's remote proctoring or remote systems trying to get into their computer. They record both the student and the desktop. The other thing that we liked about this product over the others is it works on lower bandwidth. So we do have students that are more remote and have some challenges with connections. This is a product that can work much better that way. The idea of the LMS integration. So LMS, for those of you that don't think of the learning management system, that's our Blackboard. It's fully integrated into Blackboard. So if you're going to use this tool, you actually will start with the Blackboard and we'll add it to your course so you can add the ability to do the online proctoring. And let me remind you, this is specifically for O and I courses. We did retain Respondus Monitor for some hybrid and some ground courses. So there are faculty that liked using it for that, and we didn't take that away. The other thing is that they're reviewed by certified proctors. Certified, they have college degrees, and they have background checks. So these are people that they brought on that actually review the review each video for you. So the process is pretty simple. Where it becomes more of a challenge, and one of the things that we needed to do with proctoring is the fact that you have to be able to not only proctor an exam that's inside the Blackboard, but we have a lot of, several units that like to use proctoring tools that are outside of Blackboard, like My Labs, My Math Labs. We have Alex now in math. And so it was really important that we had something that could work in there. We have something that works now. We're actually working with Software Secure to actually make it better for next semester. We are very pleased with the response that Software Secure has had to our concerns and some of the issues we've come across. So we see them as a great company to be working with in this pilot for the year to see how we can make it even better. So once you've got it set up within Blackboard, the student comes in, they do have to go through a verification. They have to present their ID, they have to take a picture, they scan the room. I'll show you some of these things as we go along. They also have to, once they get done, this is one of the nice things about this product, if there's intermittent connectivity, they're recording on the student side, so there's no gap in the recordings, which is nice, and they'll upload after the fact if they need to. And then afterwards you get a nice report, and I'll show you that as well. So when it gets down to this interview process, one of the things that's important is that we wanted to make sure we capture the photo ID. We do. There's a room scan. Students have to scan the entire room, show that there's nothing there. They have to take their own photo, and they then can navigate to the exam. Now this is reviewed by the proctoring people at Software Secure. What do you get back? You have a report that will come back from Software Secure. It will show you if there are any suspicious activity or violations, or if it's clean. So you'll see one thing is, did they pass the authentication? You'll see if there's something suspicious versus something that was just a violation. And a good example of that is, if you have a student taking an exam, someone walks in the room and they say, hey, oh, I'm taking an exam, you can't be here. They'll still flag it as a violation, but they don't consider that suspicious. You can still go look at that. So the nice thing about this also is that once you get these reports, instead of having to scroll through or find that place in the recording where the suspicious behavior is, because in the end, you're the ones that are going to decide whether this is a problem or a violation, you actually can hit a button and you can actually jump to that area. So you can decide whether, oh yeah, that was just a violation, it was no big deal. So let me just go through a quick summary here. For the students, one of the things we like is the on-demand. No more having to schedule for an exam 72 hours ahead. No more extra cost if you end up having to cancel because you're sick. It's easy to use. I mentioned practice exam. You'll see that highlighted in here. This is another feature that Software Secure gave us, is that you can set up practice exams. These are just a couple questions, so students can go in, set up their hardware, go through all the process of making sure everything works, knowing that how it works, and then later when they take an exam, they don't have to have that stressor along with taking an exam. So they can get all the, if there are any questions, any hardware issues, they can do it ahead of time. No late fees I mentioned, and the low bandwidth. For you, one of the nice things is being able to do this. You go into Blackboard, you'll be able to do everything from within Blackboard. It's very flexible. This means that if you have an exam, we know engineering, for example, likes to do paper. A lot of the students have paper to write out their formulas. They're very complex. They have a process. You can actually put that into the criteria for grading. If you had, for example, an exam that you wanted to allow students to have access to Excel, you could check a box and allow students to have access to that. So it's very customizable. We like that. Security, we like that also. They're monitoring any programs that are popping up. They'll warn the students. If the student does it a second time, they'll shut those programs down and won't ever even allow them to pop up again. So it is an arms race, as we know. So this is, yeah, I know, there's a little bit of chuckling going on there. So it is an arms race, and one of the things that we like is that they're monitoring things, for example, the remote desktops, making sure that they know which products are out there, so they're looking for them. But there is always a new one, so they're always looking for that. And then for you, the big key here is, where do we get help? So if you go into Blackboard, the easiest thing is to click the Help tab, and you'll be able to get help for this. And I know that you have tons of other questions. And so there's a Learn More. We actually worked with Software Secure to create a custom place for just ASU. And you can go in there and there are videos. It'll show you exactly what the student expects and what the student experience is like. It'll allow you to see a lot of the other features that Software Secure provides in RP Now. You want to give them questions?
Yes, please. Why don't you manage
Let me. Okay, so questions you want to start with. Polly?
there
Okay, Polly, do you have questions?
No questions.
Okay. And then, where do you want to go next? Downtown? Donna?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay. West?
We don't have any questions.
Yet. And then here.
Hello, my name's Dan McCarville. I've got 5 of these online courses that require this this semester. I've got exams starting on Tuesday or this weekend. My only request is I know that we're trying this out for a year and so forth, but if we change or do something different, can we be given more than 6 days before the school starts notice so that we can at least learn about the system? I still don't know how to implement it. I got exams this weekend.
There's absolutely no way that we would have done that on purpose. This, as I said, we started this in January. It was an amazingly long process. My due date was 2 weeks before that date that you got to see it. My academic position is in School of Life Sciences. I feel for you. That's why we brought on the help desk. We have people there to help you. If you need to have assistance one-on-one, let us know. We'll be right there with you.
Yeah, I'm Jose Menendez in physics. I have already used the software. I received my report today. I have about 20 or 30 students who are suspicious, and that's because their IDs are difficult to scan. So the fact that you don't require ASU IDs is a problem, and I think every ASU student should have a very big, high-resolution picture in their IDs.
Okay.
The other problem is the integration with Blackboard is sort of fake, because you have to request it. It's done by hand. So somebody has to put these tools there for you. And that's because I'm told that your licensing is not for on-campus courses, so it has to be done course by course. So this should be fixed.
Right, and we have other third-party products that we still have to have at request, but you can go into that help button anytime you want. Good points.
Name is Jim Moore. I've got a question, kind of a follow-up to his last point. I've got iCourse, and I also have Ground Course. I had been using Respondus for both. You mentioned the Respondus is still available. I'd like to just use one and stick with it. Is this RP now available for ground courses or not?
So this is where the pilot comes in. And so I would say, come talk to us, because what we're trying to do in the long term is to have one tool for all the students, just for your very reason. You don't want to have to deal with 2 different products. We want the students to have a standardized
Right, because
one.
I could have the same student in 2 different sections.
Right,
2
and
different
so
tools.
without a doubt, this is on our list for this year to figure out how we can do that in
because-
those particular instances.
Because I've gotten different opinions from my IT people, so they don't really know what's going on either.
Right, well, what we told them is that stick with Respondus Monitor if you're doing your mode, but long term what I'd like to do is be able to flip it so that you could use Software Secure, because I think it's a better product in the end.
Hi, I'm Dave Kaufman from Biomedical Informatics. You may have addressed this, but if the software were to go down, or if there were any problems with the software, is there a backup strategy? Or is there an alternative pathway such that we can get through an exam?
Right, so the nice thing about it is the only way you could have a problem, and it's interesting because you have to have connectivity to give your exams. So if you have no connectivity, your exam's not going to happen anyway. So the proctoring doesn't make a difference.
For example, Blackboard went down mid-exam. I know that's different.
Right.
It went down in the middle of my exam last year, so that was an interesting experience.
So the interesting thing about with Respondus with RP now is because it's recording locally, even though that's down, it'll be recording it, but the student won't be able to take the exam because we have to deal with the LMS. So that's yet another issue that we have to deal with.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Again, please, send us a note. Start early. We'd be glad to help you for next semester or the second session.
Thank you. We now have David Cohen, who's the Associate Athletic Director for the Affinity Group. With an Affinity Group, they will report on university-wide activities to promote ASU spirit among students, faculty, staff, and the community at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. It's truly an honor to be here today. It's a great time of year beyond the start of school. It's football season, and so as Kathleen mentioned, Jennifer Hightower was supposed to be here as well, but she got called to a meeting with the mayor, and so she's not able to be here right now with us. But promise, I will be quick. There was going back, I'll give you a little bit of history, early history. In April, we were tasked with building affinity between a number of constituents, internally, within campus and relations, with alumni, and then also with the community. And with that being said, a lot of your departments on campus and with the Alumni Association, a group of about 20 of us came together, and we've been meeting since last January and have formulated a big presentation. And I guess the big transformation that we've had in athletics, and I'll take pause, I'm starting my third year here at Arizona State, and I came on board when Ray Anderson was hired as athletic director. And I've spent 22 years in the private sector, primarily in the NFL. Ray and I worked together with the Falcons. And the whole idea was, how do we look at things different? Arizona State is a very innovative school, looks at things a little bit different. And what we've come, and after 2 years, what we found out is it's not necessarily about the dollar. It's about building affinity with our student athletes, which then they move on and they graduate, they become young alumni, and they become great members of the community. And then in the end, they come back and they come to football games and basketball games, and they use our athletic events to, create this ongoing cycle. So hopefully their kids come back to Arizona State. And we have a long ways to go. But we're working and we're trying to get there. And I just wanted to provide, Jennifer and I wanted to provide you guys just with an update on some of the various, this is just one little small packet of a much larger presentation that went to the President Crow and the Executive Council. So you can see here, it's all these goals. It's building affinity with everyone, not just students, but the alumni, the community. But then when you look at the game day experience, what does it mean to go to a football game? And it's more than just buying a ticket and going to a game. It's that game day, full game day experience, from the parking, the tailgating, the seeing your friends and who your coworkers are and your students. And it's a whole experience. It's not just going to a football game. And whether we play a game at 7:30 at night or 3 o'clock, what we want people to do is be able to enjoy it throughout the day. Our goal is to have the best game day experience in the Pac-12. We have a tremendous tradition here at Arizona State that all we're trying to do is enhance those traditions and create new ones. And I think using innovation and technology and the new stadium that Colleen's going to talk about in a 365-day view is really what we're trying to get to, because our football stadium has gone through a major renovation, which we're halfway through this year. And what we're trying to get to is that all our constituents are using it 365 days, not just for 6 football season. It does not make any sense for us to spend and generate or fundraise the money that we have done for only 6 football games, because primarily that's not what we're about in the athletic department. That's not what we want to be known for. So maximize student engagement. We have a large number of students, and within their student fee, they're able to come to any athletic event that is ticketed. And I think the onus is on us in athletics to build that awareness. We have a huge initiative just this year that we're reaching out to all 13,000, I think it's 13,000, international students. And so what we're trying to do is mainly listen. So, my contact information will be here, but I want you guys to personally send me an email, and I promise you that if you're not being heard, I will. I respond to every single email, and I listen. So if you have a suggestion or you have an idea to help get that further student engagement, we're all ears. Or for that matter, anything you see when you come to a game. In the end, the goal this year is to consistently fill Sun Devil Stadium. We are in a transition year. The west side of the stadium is been renovated. It's 90% sold out. The east side is another story, and so that's where we've kind of built some of our affinity programs. Here are some of the diagrams on where we sit today. Carson, this upper left-hand picture, that's Carson, and as you'll see, the seats that are on the west side, those are new fixed seats. So gone are the days of sitting in a bleacher with no back, with cramped leg rooms. The number one thing when we came in and we asked the research, we said, what do fans want? They wanted a great seat. So what they did, one of the things that we invested in, is you'll notice, is having a nice fixed seat so people aren't, leaning into one another. You have some armrests, some cup holders. It's really a great thing. You'll see brand new entrances. That's a nice picture array at one of the entrances. So you could say we're getting there. And you'll see when you come and visit, I think the investment is being spent well. So here's some of the things. Upgraded entrances. So, as we talk about the game day experience, and more than just sitting at a seat, when you walk in, you're going to see a brand new Sun Devil Stadium. There's nice steps. There's trees. It's a very it makes you feel good when you're going into the stadium. Those ramps that used to carry you around, those are gone. Now there's nice steps that stair step into it. We have brand new elevators that can take. There's a huge emphasis on make sure we were ADA compliant. Want to make sure that we're hitting the entire community masses. So we have new concession stands. Basically, anything you can see, touch, and feel has been renovated on the west side, and I think you're going to like it. Specifically to faculty, staff, you talk about. I've been on a quick. I've been here 2 years, but I feel like it's been a while. A quick learning curve. Some of the things that I have found and learned is that we had a faculty staff discount that was 20%. Well, it only limited people to 2 tickets. And I asked, well, why is that? Well, the famous last words, well, we've always had it like that. Or, I mean, that's not it. The other thing that we built on here, and I'm going to put pressure on my staff and our systems, is payroll deduction. Why don't we have systems in place that you can literally just click a button, just like parking. I said, if people can pay for their parking and they do it, why can't we do it with tickets? And if the onus is on us, let the burden be on the athletic department, not on the consumer or on our faculty staff. We want to invite people to come in and enjoy our product. And I think that if we can get to a way next year, you should also, I'll give you a little heads up too, our primary ticket provider is Paciolan. Well, we're going through an RFP right now because the contract's up, but we need to be the most innovative, user-friendly ticketing system in the country. We're giving back, and I talked about a little bit about the revenue, taking a back seat and more on the affinity. For instance, we're partnering with Career Services. At the end of the day, why are we all here? In my old days, I used to raise revenue for a billionaire owner. And now what it makes me feel a lot better at night is all the money that we generate in athletics actually goes back to students and student athletes, because at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is have people enjoy their college experience, get a degree, graduate, and get a job. And in the meantime, become great members of society. And if we do that right, if we do all these things right, I think everything works. So what we're also doing is we're partnering with Career Services. We sat down with them and found out, hey, how can we help? So we're going to donate tickets for every single game, those 3 games right there, so they can then invite leaders and people that are hiring our students, not just student athletes, but students, to invite the key decision makers to come, be in have a tailgate experience, and then network at our games. So you can see some of those, and some of you faculty, staff in your departments are affected by that. We're working in for veterans. It's a big initiative of RAISE, and something that we dealt with a lot in the NFL is giving back. And so what we've done is we partnered with VetTix. Any veteran, we've set aside a lower level ticket. And another thing, we've worked on this so people are not sitting, people donate tickets and they'll put them up in the rafters or in the upper level. And no, what we want to do is, so what we've done is we've carved out a 500 seat section for every game. Veterans who are here, who have served the country, will be able to come to a game for free, and them and their families. And it's a VetTix is a company, it's a group that's located in Phoenix, and they have partnerships all over. And then what we will do is the last home game of the year, which is Thursday night against Utah, is a salute to service game. And the veterans are going to repurpose, and they're going to purchase up to 2,000 tickets for veterans to come to that game. And we've done a bobblehead, a Sparky military bobblehead, which will be given out to first 25,000 fans in attendance that night. So you can tell we're trying to get back, and we're trying to build some bridges into the community, internally and externally. Here's a copy of what our schedule is. We open up this week. We still have 6,000 seats if anybody wants to come. But one of the things you'll notice, we have faculty staff games. We've worked out the largest discount is for our faculty staff. What we've done is we've blocked out some seats for different departments, like the School of Engineering and class are two departments who two schools have stepped up. If you buy 150 tickets, which we can put in a block, what we're doing is we're partnering with Jennifer and her group to provide a tailgate and a lower level ticket, $25 a person. It's a tremendous opportunity. So it's just a way we want people to experience this. And we're also, as you can look ahead to a basketball season and baseball season, it's not just about football. We're doing this for all our sports, and we're building programs like this. Our affinity group is working with, so it's really a 9-month, 12-month type program. So I'll open up any for questions. I know Colleen is going to come up and share some exciting developments on the 365 and what it's really going to look like next year. So, Polly? Do I go Polly first? See. Oh, they did?
No questions.
Okay.
There's no questions here.
There we go.
Hugh Barnaby, Electrical Engineering. I'm interested in the 20%, and you said faculty and staff, and then it said staff 20%.
So it includes everything's faculty staff.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because I was trying to do that for the Washington State game, and the person I spoke to only said I could only get 2 tickets. So did that just change, or?
No, were you looking at season tickets? The 20% was is for season tickets. But we're also doing individual games for departments.
So if you do individual games, though, then you don't buy season tickets.
We're working on that discount right now, and it's more on.
At this point, he said it was only 2. You could only get 2 tickets.
No, that's not true. You can. There's no quantity limitation, so that's an issue on our end. So,
okay.
Sorry.
You might want to check in it.
I'll go back and fix that in 10 minutes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
Is there any questions?
Downtown? Nope.
I don't believe we have any questions from downtown.
West?
We don't have any questions from West.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, we have Colleen Jennings-Rogenstock, who will be talking. She is the Executive Director of ASU GAMAGE and the Associate VP for Cultural Affairs. A brief report on 365 for the Sun Devil Stadium.
Great. Thank you. You know, it's nice to be invited to a meeting not to talk about Hamilton tickets. Just forewarning. Last year, around this time, President Crow was thinking about the stadium, and again, as my colleague Dave said, what are we doing in investing in the stadium this much, and then it's for 7 football games a year. Is this the clicker? Oh, shoot, I'm not technology lady. It's so weird. Yay. So, what he envisioned was us reimagining what that stadium is. And by us, I mean we have a committee which is comprised of students, faculty, staff, and the various community members who are stakeholders in the stadium. What we want is to have a gathering place of innovation and imagination. I think one of the things that was really interesting, and this is from Ray Anderson, our Vice President for University Athletics, this presentation and portions of this presentation, and a video portion you won't see, but I will send you the link, was actually designed by our students. I have been working with our students in HIDA and the Herberger Institute for Design and the Arts, and I've been working with our design students as well as with our students at the W.P. Carey about, you know, what do you think about this? And one of the things that was most startling, here's how sports venues are used. Only 2% are used for college football games. That's 6 to 7 a year. 2% for the NFL Football League, 4% for Major League Soccer, 11% of the year is used for National Hockey League in stadiums, 11% for National Basketball Associations, that's 40 games a year, 22% for Major League Baseball. I don't know who can watch that much baseball. Okay, anyway. I'm a Cubs fan, it's all right. Only 22% of NBA and NHL games, so that's 80 out of the year, and 55% if that's NBA, NHL, concerts, and events. But that's still 45% unused. So that really means for us at ASU, we have a 90% ability to use it for a wide array of things. 300 nights of the year, 365 is what we're currently calling the project. So only at ASU is this going forward? And we actually have interest from other universities and actually some funders about how we will go about doing that. This is a video. I'll have to send you the link. But the concept is that this is an affinity tool for the university. We want Sun Devil athletics to thrive. I am a big Sun Devil fan and supporter. And I'm also a USA Swim official, so I officiate our ASU swim meets, which I'm very proud of our team. ASU students can gather and innovate, and Valley citizens can embrace ASU traditions and communities. This will become a showplace not just for the Valley, not just for Arizona, but nationally as well. Notice something different here? We're looking at once the football season is over with, the grass becomes Central Park. It becomes a place where people can come and relax, people can come and dine, people can watch videos. We'll have a large video board on the south end of the stadium. We're working right now with people at the Academy of Motion Pictures and Design of looking at film programs, of having major releases as well as ongoing film programs. One of the things I thought was fascinating in meeting with our junior class of design students, and there are probably 300 of them, and I said, how many of you have been in the stadium? A third of them raised their hands, and they're juniors. And so one of the things we asked them is, what would make you want to come to the stadium? This was one of those things. We also are looking at what's really wonderful, and I don't think Dave did it justice, is the development of what has happened at the stadium. You now can be anywhere in the stadium and see the field. We'll have a running track that will go all the way around. You couldn't, for those of you who have, how many here have been in Sun Devil Stadium? Ooh, good turnout. Yeah. You can actually traverse the entire area. We are also looking at different kinds of, as Dave talked about, the ticketing contract is up, our concession contract is up, and we're looking at exploring ideas like Phoenix Sky Harbor has one of the most innovative food plans, and it's representative of all local foods. We're not only looking at that kind of plan for the stadium, so you're not eating popcorn and hot dogs and those kinds of things, but a wide array of food, international food, and we're also looking at some of these stands being learning opportunities for our students to do entrepreneurial work. Oh, let me go back here again. On the bottom right side, the little sculpted booths, again, came out of our design students, and they can be used from everything from recruiting, farmers markets, to festival activities. They can be used on the grass as well as out in front of the stadium. We are hoping to move all of our food trucks that are here on the Tempe campus to the front of the stadium. You can't really see that nighttime picture, but those are people enjoying a film premiere or karaoke orchestra. I saw it in Europe. It's kind of amazing. Everybody sounds good. So again, here's a wide array of activities that can take place, and it also gives our students an opportunity to actualize ideas and concepts they've been thinking about. Here at the top left hand, for those of you who have been there in the stadium, when you go up to where the suites were, on the top of the floor of the suites was really just mechanical equipment and things. We're looking at that becoming a sunset bar where you can come at the end of the day, where we can entertain guests, where you have to be 21, things of that nature. Here right behind, if you can see this framework, that's really the back of what our big Jumbotron will be. We're looking at a playground, and we're looking at a playground with solar energy. So a lot of times when people come to, whether it's a sporting event or other activities, there aren't things for the kids to do. This would be one of those areas. The map in the middle here, we're looking at redesigning walking paths. As you know, we have new neighbors in our State Farm campus. We have 8,000 of them, and we're looking at the Sun Devil Central being their entrance and entree onto the campus as well as inside. At this bottom picture here, where it looks like it's kind of shaded tents, those are actually pop-up structures that can be used for meetings, for classroom spaces, for a number of activities. And on the right there, how flexible the field can be, from baseball to putt-putt golf, and we're still on our debate about Major League Soccer and kind of the size of that. As Dave well knows, I'm on a charge. I'm a big soccer fan. Again, people coming for traditional events, as we have had the Stones here. One of the relationships we're working on with the City of Tempe is the City of Tempe came to us and said, I don't know how many people live here in Tempe, but they'd like to reclaim Tempe Beach Park as a park. So all of the activities that happen there would switch to Sun Devil Central or Sun Devil 365, and those things would happen inside of the stadium as well as concerts. So it will be a number of activities. Oh, okay. So that's kind of what we are working on. The committee is open. We actually have a number of faculty representatives. We had the head of the Faculty Senate was on our committee last year, so we're hoping to have the same thing this year. We obviously are exploring issues of time when it will be open, security issues. We want to have as many free things as possible. I just spent a week, I was in London working with the Future London Committee, where they are taking all of their Olympic spaces and converting them into public use spaces. And the kinds of things there I saw were the number of free things where families came from various backgrounds, be able to go to sit, enjoy, come out. There will be Wi-Fi throughout, so you can have your reflective moments or be able to do work in that space. So I'm going to open it up for questions. Downtown, questions?
No questions from downtown.
Okay. Holly?
No questions from Polly, thank you.
West?
There are no questions from West. Thanks.
Okay. Tempe?
I don't know if this is applicable to what you guys are doing, but and it's really very cool. I'm very impressed. But can we have some sort of reusable, even just reusable soft drink cups and stuff like that? The ASU logos and make for green,
Absolutely. We actually have a sustainability portion of this committee working on 365, but I know the stadium has been actively looking at reusable cups, locally sourced food, and things of that nature. Is that correct, Dave? Am I answering correctly? Go ahead.
And we'd bring them back for
yes.
a discount?
We will be doing reusable cups in the stadium this year, and you can bring them back and get drinks out of that same cup again.
Yeah, I've had students work on some of the green initiatives here at ASU, and that's
Great.
always kind of...
Well, and Garrett Wong was on our, I don't know if you know Garrett, but he was a sustainability undergrad here. He's gotten a job. He's still going to stay on the committee. And we have a number of other sustainability majors on the committee. And that's a big and important push.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for bringing Hamilton next season.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. That's my time.
Yeah.
Okay, may I say just one other thing really quickly? We will be announcing, we're going to have a kickoff on September 23rd. We're announcing a design competition that will be open to all of our students. again, imagining this space, and there will be a $5,000 prize.
Thank you. We're now space on the agenda for the chair's report. The Academic Assembly was the best ever attended with over 400 attendees on all 4 campuses, and I thank you all for the work you did to get people there. The annual report from AY, from the Senate work from 2015-16 is now on the Senate website. As Chuck scrolls through this, please note the process of RFC, the Senate committees, and the makeup of the Academic Assembly. The report also shows items reviewed by the Senate during the 15-16 in terms of motions, ACD policy changes, and programs and courses reviewed. In June, the June Arizona Board of Regents meeting was held June 8th through the 10th at NAU in Flagstaff. Kristen Hoffner, Alejandra Elenes, President of the West Campus, Chris Kaiselka, Secretary of the Academic Assembly, and I, representing the chair of the UAC, attended committee meetings on Wednesday, the board meetings on Thursday and Friday, and the Arizona Faculty's Council meeting on Thursday noon. Among other items, the board approved resolutions from the Academic and Student Affairs Committee amending requirements to be considered in determining individuals' residency classification for tuition purposes for individuals that have participated in an AmeriCorps program or Volunteer Service to America program for at least 1 year in Arizona, and amended requirements for academic credit to be determined by each university for military members based on length of service and competencies acquired during service. And they also approved the academic calendar for 2020-21. Other actions recommended by the Audit Committee and the Business and Finance Committee can be found on the ABOR website. Other summer business included transmittals from Provost Searle, Senate Motion 2016-56, your resolution in support of health plan benefits that provide transgender services for faculty and staff. The response we received is that while we believe in and support inclusion, health plans are controlled by the state of Arizona and not within our purview to change. This issue will be forwarded to Morgan Olson for additional review. Senate Motion 2015-70 regarding single-year academic professional membership in the Academic Assembly, the Provost denied that motion. Senate Motion 2015-28, a resolution establishing responsibilities for safety proposed ACD 307. The motion was denied due to questions of oversight and training and was referred to the Executive Director of Environmental Health and Safety to assess appropriate safety protocols and communications. Senate Motion 2015-47, how long students would wait for an absent instructor, and Senate Motion 2016-30, regarding missed classes due to university-sanctioned activities, were approved with revisions. The committee will review and return to the provost for implementation. Now, in response to 2 Senate Personnel Committee memos, that a request for external reviewers to indicate their opinion of the candidate's likelihood of receiving tenure and/or promotion at their own institutions be removed from the letter to external reviewers was denied. The reasons include that by asking reviewers to opine on tenurability at their own institutions, ASU gets a better sense of how candidates are measured by their peers and how our standards may compare to theirs, and the input is advisory, not determinative. In response to a request to review the role, functions, and membership of the University Tenure and Promotion Committee, the Provost offered that moving forward, the UAC Chair could suggest names for consideration on this committee to the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. If you have a nomination of a full professor to consider, please forward that name to the Senate office this week. The transmittals were sent to the UAC and the respective committees, and these results are posted in the archives for 2015-16 if you'd like more details. Regarding task forces, I'm in the process of naming a task force for the Constitution and Bylaws review as required every 4 years. Informing the bylaws review will be a task force studying communication with university committees and a task force reviewing Senate operations. A task force to study and make recommendations regarding open access is in the process of being finalized. To follow up on a request from April's Senate meeting for further clarification regarding a potential change for new employees' enrollment in the optional retirement system instead of Arizona State retirement system, I received word from Kevin Salcido, Vice President of HR, that there's been no movement in this direction since he last spoke to the Senate, and he will keep the Senate informed as to any progress. And finally, as UAC Chair, I'm in the process of visiting the opening session of various colleges and schools to discuss shared governance and to encourage faculty participation with their senators. I thank you. It's been a busy summer. And the next item on the agenda is item 5, the Senate process overview presented by Chuck Barbie, the Director of the Senate.
Hi, everyone. I think there's a few, I'm Chuck Barbie, Director of the University Senate Office. I think there's a few things in life we all cherish, and that is being the last speaker on a Monday afternoon. So please bear with me. I'll try to be succinct here with this message. I think it is very important, though, that you understand what you're doing as a senator. You're representing your peers, and so that's actually a very, very noble pursuit. I like to use a very snippet of an old Roosevelt quote that you are truly in the arena of shared governance, and we appreciate that, and you should feel good about that. I'd like to start off by reminding you that there actually is a state law, and not every state, not every university has this. There's a state law that says the faculty shall share in the governance of the university. That's performed by a representative body, which here at ASU is the University Senate. There's also an equivalent ABOR policy, and there's also an ACD policy that lines that out. So it's actually quite a special right, but as you might imagine, it's quite a responsibility as well that we are responsive and we do a good job. Each of you come here with a very expert level or expert view of your academic units, and that's why your peers entrusted you to be here to represent their interest. You're going to have to actually take that expertise and kind of broaden it on some more system-wide perspectives that you're presented here, because the Senate deals not necessarily with unit-level issues, but issues that affect multiple units and multiple colleges and schools. So at the same time, we'll ask you also to take this system-wide perspective back to your peers and do maybe a reverse education process occasionally. So that's an important paradigm to work from. It's important to know how the Senate work is processed, and we use a term called a request for consultation, because when anyone asks the Senate, or they think, what does the faculty, the academic professionals at ASU think on something, they're basically consulting with this representative body to do that. So it's in reality giving the feedback from the faculty and academic professional perspective. They're handled two ways, consultatively and formally. And I'll talk a little bit quickly here about the consultative format. This utilizes the elected representatives within the Senate to provide an expert faculty and academic professional opinion on a topic. It does not require a Senate motion to be valid. All right, it could be things like asking the Senate to provide a faculty member to serve on a search committee. It could be asking a Senate standing committee to make an interpretation on an existing policy, and that can be asked of that committee, and the committee can respond. All of these RFCs consultatively are recorded, they're delegated to the appropriate committee, and then they're worked on, and the person who actually asked the question is informed of it. And that information is available to the academic assembly as a whole. What you'll work mostly on here, and if you're in a committee, you'll do a lot of consultative work, but if you're just a senator and weren't assigned to a committee, you're going to work on the formal components. Formal requires a system-wide perspective on a particular topic. This could be any sort of policy, ACD policy that needs to be changed. Then a committee would work on that policy. They would bring it to the full Senate. For review, you would consult with your peers in your academic unit, and then the Senate would vote on that, and then that would actually become a recommendation that goes to could be Provost Searle, could be President Crow, could be Ponch, could be any senior leader, the formal and official recommendation of the faculty as to their opinion on that particular subject. So that's the formal processing. So to process formal business, we actually have to have these meetings, and each of you got an agenda that has these types of line items. They may be in different orders, but we're going to basically talk about new and old business so you'll understand how you can best and most effectively provide input. Anything that comes up as new business, or what we would call a first reading, you'll see on your agenda, that is typically a motion developed by a committee, and before it actually gets placed on as a first reading, it could have had anywhere from 1 to 6 months worth of work by a devoted group of committee members to pull it together. It's not necessarily, in perfect form, but it should be in near perfect form at that particular point. But the first reading is simply a formal and public announcement to the senators and the academic assembly as a whole that here's this motion, we want feedback. A month later, you'll see that same item come up as old business or a second reading. But what's most important is what occurs in between the first reading, the public announcement, and the second reading. What we ask you to do when you see a public announcement of a motion, and you'll see a point of contact on the agenda, you might even have that person will likely come to the podium and present that motion to you. Then you need to provide feedback, maybe possibly poll your peers if it's a topic of interest to your unit, and that information needs to go to the committee chair and the committee so that they can make revisions and edits in between the time of the first and second reading. And so hopefully if we've done that properly, when we get to the second reading and we look at it on old business, what we need to then do is just inform the senators of the negotiated changes. We need to present any sort of additional comments or edits that were made or that the committee is proposing, and then we'll vote on that motion. Again, once that motion goes, if it's approved, then it gets transmitted to the appropriate senior leader. If it gets disapproved, then it just goes away and possibly to reappear another time, depending on the motion itself. So my last piece is on consent agendas. Many of you might understand those, some don't. It's typically a grouping of non-controversial items that are voted on in bulk, so that if, say, we have 11 items from our CAPC committee, we don't have to vote on 11 different times. It's important to remember that you can remove items from the consent agenda, and you would do that by approaching the mic or speaking up. And let's say in that time between the first and second reading, you worked really hard to try to get some resolution on an issue that you had, and nothing happened. So you'd like to come to the mic and say, for instance, I'd like to remove Senate Motion 2017-01 for discussion. Kathy, as the chair, would remove that motion, set it aside. You would vote on the remaining non-controversial items. And then that item that was removed would be discussed and voted on separately, or possibly tabled or sent back to the committee. All right? You can do that on CAPC items, which we're going to see today. We do have a vote of some items that had their first reading in April, and so now they're back for their second reading. And then also on new courses, we have a new course proposal consent agenda. If you've tried to get some resolution between the time the courses hit your inbox, and you may have noticed that courses don't, they come a little quicker. They come in your email as an email first reading 2 weeks before the Senate. Most everything else will be on an agenda. And we've done that at the request of faculty to try to speed up the new course process. But you can request that an individual course be removed, and we'd use the same protocols. So lastly, make sure you bookmark the usenate.asu.edu. There's everything you could ever want as far as shared governance goes on that particular website. We do ask you to stay in communication with your units and your constituents, and don't hesitate to contact your Senate presidents on your particular campus if you have any questions, or you can also contact the Senate office. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chuck. We now have item B on the agenda, CAPC motions. Carolyn Harrison. who will be Chair of CAPC, will now present a first read of the CAPC motion.
Kathleen has also asked me, for those who are brand new, to sort of give a quick overview of exactly how these course proposals will work. As Chuck said, I'm giving you the first read. This is your first chance to hear what the various proposals are from the units. On the upcoming CAPC meeting on Thursday, they will again be reviewed by the entire committee and then voted on or not. And then they will be presented again to the Senate for a final vote at the next Senate meeting. Between now and the next Senate meeting, please send me any comments or questions that you have on any of these proposals. I'd especially like it, though, if you could send me any before this Thursday, if you happen to have them, so that I can also present them to the committee. Now, at the end of the agenda, you'll see an Appendix A. Those are concentrations and minors. They are only reviewed by CAPC. They are presented to you here. But they will not be coming up for another vote. If you have any concerns or questions on anything in Appendix A, please get those to me by Thursday, by this upcoming CAPC meeting. And then finally, we will look at the old business, the courses that have been approved as a consent agenda. Are there any questions on how the course proposal function works? Okay. No one's waving? Okay. So I'm going to present the following proposals that will be discussed in great detail at the upcoming CAPC meeting. Senate Motion 2017-02, request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences for a name change in the School of Earth and Space Exploration. It's my first time doing this. For the name change of a graduate degree from astrophysics to astrophysics and astronomy. Next, from the College of Nursing and Health Innovations, for the disestablishment of a graduate certificate, evidence-based practice in nursing and healthcare. Request from the College of Integrated Sciences and Arts for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BA in History of Science, Ideas, and Innovation. Request from the new College of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences, the School of Mathematical and Natural Sciences, for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Biotechnology and Bioenterprise. Request from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Economics Program in Class, School of Politics and Global Studies, for the establishment of an undergraduate degree, BS in Politics and the Economy. And finally, request from the College of Nursing and Health Innovation for the disestablishment of a graduate degree, DNS in Nursing. Again, any comments or questions on any of these proposals? Please get them to me hopefully by this Thursday, but certainly no later than the next Senate meeting.
We'll now have a ratification vote for Senate committee member slate. The proposed slate of new committee members for 2016-17 academic year was sent to you on Friday. The rosters for all committees will be made up of these senators as well as those carried over from the last academic year. If you were not selected for a committee, the Committee on Committees will be filling any open slots throughout the next month and might touch base with you. Thank you to all committee members. Your service truly makes a substantial difference. That's where the true work of the Senate is happening. We are now asking the senators to ratify this list of new committee members. And Chuck, would you have are we okay with our clickers, or do we have to do a hand count? We'll go ahead and try it. Okay, so the question is, do you approve the 2016-17 Senate committee member slate? Give you a few moments to vote. It seems like I think we're ready to close the vote. The responses have calmed down. Okay, 56 yes, 2 abstaining. The slate has been approved. Thank you. We're now ready for old business. A new course proposal consent agenda, the first read of which was mailed to you on August 15th. The Senate Motion 2017-01, new courses, were sent electronically. We're offering these courses for approval as a consent agenda. Before we take a vote, are there any courses that any senator would like to remove from the consent agenda? I'll start first with West. They are first on my screen. Alejandra, are there any courses that you would like to remove from the consent agenda for new courses? Please unmute. We cannot hear you.
Unmute? Are we muted? Can you hear me? No. The answer was no.
The answer is no. Okay. Polytechnic, any courses to remove?
No, thank you.
Okay. And downtown, any courses to remove from consent agenda?
No courses, thank you.
Tempe, are there any courses, or any people wanting to remove a course from the consent agenda?
No, there are not.
Okay, thank you. We'll now take a vote on the consent agenda approving these new courses. The question is, do you approve Senate Motion 2017-01, new course proposal consent agenda? Please vote now. Okay, Chuck, it looks like it's calmed down, the voting. So the 52 yes, 0 no, 6 abstain, the motion is passed. Okay, I'll ask Carolyn Harrison to come back up now for the CAPC consent, the new course, new proposals.
The courses that are listed under the old business were all voted on by CAPC at the end of their final meeting, the end of last spring, so they've all been approved. I'd like to present these as a consent agenda for voting at the Senate. First of all, are there any proposals that you would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Starting with Holly?
No. Nothing here.
Wes, do you have anything you'd like to remove?
No, we do not.
Downtown?
No, we have nothing from downtown.
And Tempe? Tempe had nothing that they wanted to remove.
So we're ready for the vote on this. Do you approve the CAPC consent agenda motion? Numbers are still adding up. Okay, it looks like it's stopped. All right, 51 yes, 0 no, 3 abstain. The motion passed. Committee reports, there are none for this being the first meeting. We are now ready for open forum. I invite questions and comments from each of the campuses. I'll start with Polytechnic. Do you have any questions or comments for open forum?
We have nothing here, thank you.
Okay. West, do you have any questions or comments for open forum?
No, we have a question on the vote that we just did, because some people over here did vote no, and the clicker, and you showed that there were 0 no, so we're kind of wondering about the vote, how the vote went.
The whole vote on all campuses? No, do we need to? Okay. Alejandra, do you think we need to re-vote on the whole thing?
I guess, we just need to make sure that the clicker is working.
They may not have been. We had an issue earlier. So let's, okay, stop everybody. Let's go back to the last item, to the consent agenda, the CAPC consent agenda for the programs. Motions for Senate approval. We're going to take a revote. Thank you for your indulgence. Okay.
Go by campus. Each president count their votes on their campus.
Okay.
Raise your hand in Tempe, or go ahead.
Yes. Do you remember how? So. Yeah.
All in favor, just
All
raise a hand. All opposed, raise a hand, and we'll count. Yeah.
Approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
All in favor.
We'll get an exact count, though. Tempe, 60 yes. All opposed? Seeing none, okay. West, how many abstentions, please. Sorry, abstentions? One? Okay, one abstention. West, could you tell us your count?
Yeah, 3 yes and 2 no, and no abstentions.
And no abstentions, okay. Polytechnic?
All yes. We have 7 yes.
All yes, okay, thank you. Downtown?
We have 15 yes, 1 abstention.
1 abstention. No no's?
No no's.
Okay, so then the motion obviously carried. Thank you. Okay, let's see, we were on open forum. Where was I? Downtown, do you have any questions or comments for open forum?
We don't have any questions from downtown, thank you.
Thank you. Tempe? Okay, seeing none, that concludes Senate meeting number 1. I will accept a motion to adjourn. Okay, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. The ayes have it. Thank you.